So hold that in the background, because that power that he gave back to me, because till that moment, and I'm so grateful for the doctors and the nurses and the hospitals and everyone that helped.
Humans never seem to wake up unless they go through an extremely traumatic experience. And in your case, you had 90 days to live. So that would wake you up. That would wake anybody up. Like in my case, I had life-changing surgery on my foot where I saw my entire world just crumble, domino after domino after domino after domino.
So when we're talking about biohacking and shamanism and the quantum level of it, is in the quantum level, what we don't see is that small electric impulses from something I smelled or something I heard or something I see remind me of a situation that I've lived through. So if you're a man and you have a satisfied wife, if you're a man and you have satisfied children, if you're a man and you have a satisfied job, if you're a man in relationship to and in interaction with are satisfied, then you're at a good place. Then you're a conscious man.
If you are new to this podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share, because that helps us to be recommended in the algorithms. If you would like to support this podcast, please check out our merch store on Amazon with the brand Todd and Me. We've got some cool t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and sweaters. Link will be in the description of this podcast. And if you're now starting a spiritual journey, you would like to start a spiritual journey, or you're currently on a spiritual journey and you would like some help removing some fears and traumas, please hit me up on my Instagram at Adriano_246 and it will help you to get some magic mushrooms. Enjoy the show and stay tuned, because we have some more great content coming soon. Hello, beautiful and amazing people. Welcome back to the Conscious Man 7 podcast. I am your host, Todd Cave, and today's episode is going to be special, as we're honored to be joined by a remarkable soul who is not only keeping ancient wisdom alive, but weaving it seamlessly into the fabric of modern healing and human evolution. Crist is one of the visionary founders of the Jaguar Path, a school and movement that integrates the sacred technologies of shamanism with the embodied practices of yoga, Tai Chi, Ayurveda, and beyond. The Jaguar Path is also accredited by the Global Accreditation Council, offering postgraduate programs in modern shamanism. Their mission? To empower individuals to heal deeply, walk in purpose, and awaken the healer within. Ray has walked with the Peruvian shamans from the Ayurveda lineage in the Andes, learning their ancient wisdom. He has trained with world-renowned masters and served as a bridge between indigenous wisdom and cutting-edge science. He is at the forefront of a new paradigm, where the mystical meets the practical, where the spirit animals guide leadership, and where shamanism emerges as the original form of biohacking in our wellness evolution. So whether you're spiritually curious, seeking healing, or just ready to go deeper into what it means to live consciously in 2025, this conversation is one you won't want to miss.
When truth is blurred by lies and misinformation, perception becomes reality. What will you perceive your reality to be?
Liberate your fears and walk with me.
Sit down and meditate. Connect with your soul.
Be a monster and then learn how to control it.
You gotta be willing to do the work.
So it really goes really deep in terms of words and etymology and what they mean. So this is why it is really hard to really crack the matrix, because there's so many levels and layers to it, Ray, welcome to the Conscious Man 7 podcast. How are you today?
Hi, Todd. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I am really well.
Okay, good. So I'm really happy to talk to you today because, I was looking at your website and look what you do. And I was very curious that how you merge, so many things together. And I wanted to, basically talk to you because shamanism is something that is basically on the rise now. A lot of people are sort of waking up, and getting call-ins to do this work. But I think that there are a lot of misconceptions in terms of what it is. So I would like to bust, a few myths and reframe what shamanism really is. So let's start at the roots. What are the biggest misconceptions people have about shamanism, and how do they differ from your lived experiences and teachings?
Wow, you're so right on. There's a lot of misconceptions, and for a good reason. Good reason in the sense that when something is not a part of your culture or of your times, and it comes out of history or out of a foreign country, and it's kind of far away, mystical or exotic in any way, there's a lot of space there to kind of like imagine what it is or name it. I'm going to say that I came to shamanism out of a sheer need. And what I mean by this is that in 2003, I was diagnosed with cancer, with stage 4 cancer, and I was given 3 months of life. I visited several hospitals, including Johns Hopkins and the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and I was given a really grim diagnosis, basically, just a few months of life and really no hope. So with no hope, I said, I am going to lift every stone on this planet, and I'm going to find miracle workers, shamans, sorcerers, whatever it is. I'm going to look around and see. And I traveled through Mexico, which I dearly love. I traveled down through Peru. And it was in Peru really that I just hit it off with my teachers, where I felt in a way that I found my tribe, my soul's tribe. It's very important to me to convey, and what I always remind people is that, first of all, to say that at the NIH, I did a surgery and gave up my right kidney. And I know that I owe my life to that. Without that, I would not be alive today. And at the same time, post-operation, we're watching with MRIs and CAT scans every 3 months, and then every 6 months, and every year, what my situation was, which was determined to be fatal, if that's the word. But what we watched and witnessed is after my travels to Peru and going back and forth to Peru, working with medicine men and medicine women, we saw situations, tumors shift and change and disappear, and whole other wonderful image of coming back to health. I know that if it wasn't for all the shamanic work that I did, which meant that I changed the paradigm of my entire life and who I was and who I am, I would not be alive today. So in other words, if I had said, oh, I did surgery, great, now I'm going to go straight back to who I was, to the life that I lived, to the life that I lived that had led me to cancer, the path would just once again lead me to cancer. I am convinced of that. Meeting the shamans changed my entire life. I'll speak to the misconception really quickly, in the sense that there's this belief, or there's belief for many people, that behind shamanism there must be belief, there must be a belief system, or magic that is also maybe magic that is unchecked, or some supernatural powers. There's mysticism in the essence of the word, the heart of the work, in getting into a space of reverence. And when you do so, and that's the threshold one needs to pass when we're talking about consciousness. When you pass that threshold and you enter into the space of now and into a space of reverence, meaning that you're feeling absolutely safe, you're in a dome of God, of any name, or you're in the dome of your divine, let me put it, nature. Once you pass that threshold, a lot of things change. Everything in life changes. I couldn't go back to the life I lived before after I worked with shamans. I found it really clear that my my dharma, my reason for being here, my work, my legacy is about sharing this work that I've learned as a transformational and very grounded work to changing my life, the way I feel, the way I think, who I totally am. The misconceptions, in other words, are a couple. I think one is that it's woo-woo magic and new agey, and therefore to be mocked, or that it's cult and dangerous because there's some plants maybe perhaps included, or a religion. It's none of the above. Shamanism is not a religion, first of all. Shamanism is the oldest form of science, the oldest form of curiosity of a human being to pause and observe nature and learn from nature. Understand the seasons, understand the animals and how the animals live life, and learn how to be in life. So I would call shamans really naturalists. And along with that, the people that I have met through my travels and working with the shamans of Peru have amazing psychoanalytical tools and processes. You can call them rituals or ceremony. In essence, they're processes that you go through in sacred space. And what I mean by that, in a moment that your awareness is fully present. So shamanism and the shamanic work that we teach through the Jaguar Path is a series of tools that you have that you can actually solve problems for your everyday life. Some examples are like easy to catch are cord cutting. When you're in a relationship or have been in a relationship for 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, and now you're not in this relationship, you're still connected to this person. So there's this wonderful ceremony of doing a cord cutting, opening sacred space, acknowledging the other person, thanking the other person, and setting the other person free while going through a symbolic cord cutting around the energy field of the individual. And when we essentially take a dive in and look into the science of it, science says that in quantum physics, what we see is that when one thing is connected, it's always connected. And that energetic connection besides space and time is the reference of that energetic cord that holds you back. You've left a relationship, you were together, was loving as long as it was. For whatever reason, now you're leaving, you're separated. You set the other person free you just simply set the other person free without holding any emotion, grudge, or any energy and chemistry within your body that can just poison you. You set the other person free, and cutting the cords, you basically cut that tugging, energetic cord that would stimulate, that would make you remember or think things. Like you're sitting having coffee with a friend, and all of a sudden you're upset and you're talking about your ex-wife and something she did 17 years ago. There is no reason. It has nothing to do with anything in any realm of reality. But cutting that cord sets that person free, sets you free, and brings you into the now, allows you to bring your energy into the present moment.
Okay, so wow, that's very, very interesting. Firstly, your story is very moving and inspiring because I know for sure that there's some people that are listening to this podcast and they may be in a similar situation, whether it is emotional, financial, or from a relationship, like you just expressed, and they're feeling like if there's no hope, they can't overcome it. But here you were at the jaws of death, and you pretty much were reborn. You pretty much, transformed. You metamorphosized into a new person, and it really sounds like the things that you experienced through obviously some of the medicine and that you would have some of the plant medicine that you would have sat with in Peru and stuff, and probably in Mexico as well, had some deep changes. And I'm really curious about what you were talking about in terms of the cord cutting, because I think that almost every single person that's listening to this show is going to have some sort of a cord that they would love to cut, because I think it's mad, because we are not really taught about relationships in terms of like as children and then young adults is something that we just end up doing, and we have to learn how to cope when someone leaves. So like, can you go down like a layer in terms of like cutting the cord? Because the reason why I ask is that, is it just more than not thinking about the person, or just like forgiving the person? Because you can do those things, but you can still get a random thought of that person that can trigger the memory, even though, like you said, it may be many years. It could be just like if it was yesterday. So like, you could finish with someone yesterday or finish with someone 17 years ago, but the same emotion can still be there. So it may not necessarily even be a situation of time healing. It may just be, I guess, the energetic connection is still there. So how would you actually like cut it? Like, can you delve down one layer to show how like you can actually shift the energy?
Absolutely. I'll start from somewhere else. I'll start from the self, like for the individual we're talking about. You said there's going to be so many out there that want to cut cords. And it's true. There always are. And it's been a great tool. And I'll go into that deeper layers of it. But I'm going to say this, first of all, that I came to realize very quickly when I met the shamans. First of all, I sat on my knees literally in front of Don Francisco. Don Francisco Flores is an elder of the Q'ero Nations people. He's a wonderful person. And here I am in 2006 and in the Andes with him. And I'm on my knees and I say, Don Francisco, I have cancer. Please save me. Please heal me. Right? So they told me this guy is like, he's the elder. Go to him. And he leaned over me and he grabbed me lovingly by the shoulders and he said, I can't heal you, but I can train you how to become a shaman and you could heal yourself. This is the only way this works. So hold that in the background, because that power that he gave back to me, because till that moment, and I'm so grateful for the doctors and the nurses and the hospitals and everyone that helped me. I met amazing, great people that really supported me through and through, both through Johns Hopkins and the NIH. Wonderful people. But at the same time, I was surrendering my power to the NIH, to the doctors, to every person. And now in this moment, this is after my surgery, on my knees in front of Francisco, he gives me back my power and he says, Ray, you are the one that's going to save your life. That's the way it works. You are the shaman. And that applies to all of us. We're all the shamans. We all have we have that deeper self and that knowing, and we know it. Just put everything aside. We all know it. We have a deeper voice that is the true me, that always knows, has discernment. Regardless of sometimes we make the opposite choice of that voice. We just drown it out a little bit and then just do what we want for the fun of it. And then, of course, it always turns around. So to bring it home, I want to say that there's a lot of things that preoccupy our energy. What does it mean to be here now and to live life and to be healthy, first of all, and then to engage in life? And in order to be healthy, you need a certain amount of energy. Even if we call it wattage, volts of electricity in your body. And to engage in life, you need even more volts to create this electricity and light that is all this life is. So there's different things that preoccupy that energy that come and tax our energy. So say my batteries are full, I had a good night's sleep, I had a really nice week of working out, doing yoga, doing Tai Chi, etc. Am I at my 100%? Well, if I'm at my 100% and I have two relationships from the past that were for many years and had left many, maybe in some cases, negative emotions, maybe in some cases, sadness, maybe in some cases, unfinished, just a sensation of unfinished. Just leaving that in the brain department and in the motor system, really, of the body, because they're always interconnected. The motor system of the body and the brain, the subconscious, and where we park past events are always connected. So having those to say that one or two relationships from the past that I'm still connected with because I haven't gone through a ceremony of cord cutting, I haven't cut those cords, they may be taking 5 or 10 or 30% of my electricity. Just in the background. It's like having a computer, you've opened a program and you've left it open, but now you're on Zoom. But that is running behind and it's like really going, boom, it's taking that 20%. I'll even say 10%. Then there's other things. There's so many other shamanic tools that address other things. There's memories of the past that we may have had in our childhood, events that really kind of like were either traumatic or impressed us, maybe impressed us in a negative way, to any of those degrees of that. Those we find our way to cope with, and those we also park somewhere. But especially those that are events that have troubled us from our young age. You know, Carl Jung, the great psychologist, said everything that happens from 0 to 7. We've established our personality, and that personality meaning, what are those events that were so impressionable that they made us decide what life is and how we're going to go about it? So there's other tools that allow us to go there, and we call it soul retrieval. We go to a moment where we feel that we lost part of ourselves, that we had to change things because of an event, and we can reclaim, bring that child back, be with that full self, and then reclaim another 10% or 20% of our energy back. So I won't go on for the list, but I'll say that these shamanic tools are very practical tools and practices that you get to do paired with someone else, or with a shaman, or with a friend, or with someone in the school. And you get to experience how to go through this tool. And what is amazing about this work is that you get to have a visceral shift immediately that lasts, that is lasting period. Like you say, wow, I cut the cord, and I'm like, with things that we hear, things people say, is like, oh, I can hear better. I feel taller. I can breathe deeper. There's like something that is like absolutely real and concrete for the receiver. It's not about the shaman saying, oh, you have to believe something or something outside of you. You're very clear for every person going through these tools, the visceral shift and sensation of becoming more you, becoming less burdened, held, or in any contraction in some part of yourself. It's holding on to something. Any of all these and all of these are what really hold us back. And say, like, if you ask people, it's like, do you feel you've reached your full potential? 99.99% of people will be like, they won't answer. They'll lower their head. They'll be like, not really. But I will when and then there's a list of when I put things in place, or when the kids go to college, or when this or that. But the truth is it's never convenient. It's never a matter of convenience. And that's why we get lazy and we don't get into consciousness. We don't awaken to it because it's just not really convenient. For me and for many others, unfortunately, it has to really knock your door, like in my case with a cosmic 2x4, and say, you know what, you're dying. And that just was like a blow that awakened me to my deeper self. And I said, well, wait a minute. Has this life that I have lived so far and all these thoughts that I have daily been a worthy life? The shock of beginning to count 90 days down to death really shifted all my priorities. I mean, it really scrambled my brain, absolutely. It does. And what it brought up and was all those things that needed to be changed. And we all know we have things we need to be changed. And there is nothing to be guilty about or ashamed about. Or life is difficult. And the logic that we live in, what we call common sense, is really a setup for failure. It's really a setup for like feeling that I'm either a victim of something, or the next day I might hope to be the winner of something. Like I'm either the victor or the victim. And it's not about that. Life is not about that. Life is about taking a moment and having the moment to have your full energy present, so you can take a deep inhalation and say, hi, life. Wow, I'm here. Wow, I'm here right now. Right now with you, Todd, on this podcast. Nowhere else. And I'm just right here.
You know, what is a very interesting in what you said, though, is that I think that is becoming clearer to more people that the things that can't be seen seem to be the things that are the most important in our life, and what challenges the most. So basically what you were talking about, you're basically talking about an energy shift, because as we know, energy can either be created or destroyed. So you're talking about in the cord cutting, it'd be shifting of the energy, because one energy can only occupy one space, right? Is either positive energy or negative energy. So you have to shift it. And you know what you said is something that I say all the time. And some people like to say, but Todd, man, you shouldn't be so gloom about that. But it just seems to be the way it is. Humans never seem to wake up unless they go through an extremely traumatic experience. And in your case, you had 90 days to live. So that would wake you up. That would wake anybody up. Like in my case, I had life-changing surgery on my foot where I saw my entire world just crumble, domino after domino after domino after domino. And it was just never ending, that it just broke me. And unfortunately, it just seems like if that is the way the majority of people actually wake up, like some people can wake up and they can just get the realization, like, you know what? I don't like how my life is. I'm going to change it. And then they cause the change. But most of us is like the change happens to us, whether by the universe,
by force,
an accident. Yes, by force, right? Because like in my case, it was by force. And in your case, it was by force. And in most of the people that I have spoken to on my podcast, and I'm like now 71 episodes in, every single person has been by force. So I am yet to talk to someone that has said, you know what, Todd, I just didn't like how things were going and I just decided to change it. if I would love to meet someone like that, because I think it gives people hope that they can do it. But unfortunately, people, I think that things have to get very, very bad in your life before it changes, you know? And like I say, you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's the only way you actually make changes in your life. So, yeah, go on.
It takes hard work. It takes hard work and will. And like you said, the truth is that it's in most cases, it is by force. And what does that really mean is that there is talking about what is the conscious man and what is the unconscious man, is that most of us in, I'll just call it, I don't want to call it the modern world. I'll call it the modern world, sure, the current world in the Western world. Live in all these agreements, these cultural agreements, and this reality, this common sense that is created, and that common sense we're like kind of born to, and we're born, and we're now in this era where it's Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, and this whole reality, and this whole reality like really also is a big part of your day, everyone's day, and everyone's reality. And regardless of the media, we're in this everyday reality of the family we're born to, and the relationships we have, and the exchanges we have. And they all happen on this cultural level of a cultural agreement. Bear with me here. In other words, we all live a life and say, what's important? It's important that Mary loves me, and that I keep my job, and that I take the dog out, and in all those things, a list of things that we create in life that we like. And then there's also another list of things that we don't like, and we created, and we avoid those things. And we kind of live life within a ping pong of like, what am I going to do next? I'm going to do something that I like. And we go from one thing to another. And what is important, and this is what I was smiling about earlier, it's so difficult to change because it means that you have to die. It means that who you are today is not who you are going to be in a month. And it might take a month, it might take a year. Sometimes it takes a few seconds because it's in real some moments that it happens really actually, regardless of how long it takes to take. But change happens when we are actually scared out of our wits, scared out of this reality of values that is a bubble that we create. Part of it we call personality. The other part is like what's right, what's politically correct, what's this, what's that. There's all this information around us that this is how reality should be. And most of this information is what we call, in the shamanic world, we call data. It's just people are exchanging data. And how was the weather? And how was it today? And everyone's either living in the past, and you say, oh my God, yeah, it's me, and I had this, and I had to go through this divorce, and it was difficult, and this or that, or everyone has a story, or everyone's living in the future. And we're in this live with the company of a couple voices in our head, at least two, I would say. And talking about what shamanism is about kind of like realizing that all along I have this voice inside me that every time tells me what's right and what's wrong. And not from values, but from clarity and discernment, from pure seeing and pure knowing, just simply knowing what to do or not to do. But that takes a certain amount of energy that you have to build up to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to take off what I'm wearing. I'm just going to take it off. I don't have to be. I mean, I used to be a photographer. I used to be an advertisement and fashion photographer, which has absolutely nothing to do with who I am and what I do today. Absolutely. Like my whole life was an absolutely different lifestyle, different reality, different everydayness. And I'll come back to that and say, so I had a successful career, but I was really suffering. My soul was not singing. I was doing these 90-hour weeks, and I thought that was success. And it wasn't. And the proof was in the pudding. The proof was in the MRIs. It's like I had stage 4 cancer because I was in a toxic environment, a toxic work, and acidic environment. But the truth is that you can't let go of your reality. You can't say, well, what I did, since I had no other choice, is I took a backpack and left. I didn't leave the country I lived in. I didn't only leave my 2-year-old son. I didn't leave my photography studio, my successful career, my car, my bike, my plates, my cups, I left everything. I left who I was. And in that, what really happened, and is to bring it down to the nuts and bolts of what shamanism is, because it's really an awesome work. And it's like what you said, it's biohacking. And the level of it with biohacking is that when I start doing all these tools, shamanic tools, energetic tools, and I start cutting cords, claiming back part of my energy, changing words in the way I think, and learning these shamanic tools, I basically get all my energy back, which is enough energy to realize that, you know what, I'm good. I'm good because I left this truckload of things there, that truckload over there, what we call in Quechua, in the Quechua language, hucha. Hucha is heavy stuff. Heavy stuff. So if I start just unloading everything, all of a sudden you catch up and you realize that, hey, it was me all along, and I didn't have to do all that stuff. I didn't have to go, it's me. It's like you look at the mirror and it's like, me, hi, it's me. And in that also, magically, you see everyone else. You're like, I'm looking at you, Todd, and it's like, oh, it's me. It's like, I have the microphone today. I'm running a podcast. And Ray, it's like, there's a veil that leaves everything. And there's no others or things to gain or lose, or I can be the winner, I can be the victor or the victim. Things are just beautiful as they are. After having unloaded everything, things are just very simple, and there's something we're not taught, and that's the problem with waking up. First of all, that we don't want to let go of who we are, of all the nice things we do, the pizza, the ice cream, whatever it is, whatever it is, that all these points of references. And when we do leave these points of references and dive in, that's why I feel Tai Chi and yoga are really important, and they're a part of our training, is because in those practices, along with the shamanic practices, what you really change is you're like rewiring yourself. You rewire your nervous system, your motor system. You're essentially reconstructing and rerouting your meridian system and bringing your vital organs into a healthy and optimal state. Having let go of all these emotions or memories or all these other things that we're talking about, all that electricity can come back to allow for the internal organs to function better, to work better, to work in an optimal state, which has an immediate result of what I said earlier. Shamanic work brings you into this visceral sensation of shift. It's accelerated healing. Like, we've heard it more than once. We heard it more than 100 times. It's like, oh my God, I was working with this for 10, 20 years with my therapist or this or the other. And it's gone in a session. We did an hour session, 45 minutes. It was gone. Gone. Forever. Because shamanic work is about understanding that no matter what is, and how low you are and how beaten down you are, if you could just look up for a second and say, I am grateful. If you could just look up and step out of the, I am a victim of this. Look up and say, I am grateful. Just to say that and lift your head up, you will have the whole universe support you into rising up. And having gone through this and several other difficulties in my life, I want to say that it's these difficulties for those of you who may be in a moment that you're like down or in a low part or feeling hopeless or feeling trapped. It's like, use this energy that you're feeling, not to say that you're a victim of anything, but use it as fuel to stand up, to look up and be in this place of being grateful, because being grateful for life itself changes the chemistry of our whole body and allows for new synapses to take form in the brain and allows for a new motor system to move out in the world and open doors in a different way.
It sounds very much like if shamanism is simply a way of life. So why do you believe shamanism is more relevant now than ever before in our modern, fast-paced society?
You know, shamanism, when I left with that backpack to travel through Mexico and down to South America to find shamans, I thought I was going in search of something that was near extinction or gone, or that it would be very hard to find. And I was really surprised that it was just a part of their culture, like everywhere, in many, many places. I mean, exclude Mexico City. There's a lot of shamans in Mexico City too, but exclude Mexico City, where the vast majority of people would say, oh, that's old stuff and whatever. All throughout the country, there's, in every village and small town, there's the medicine man, the medicine woman. Someone hurt themselves, someone got bit by a snake, they go to the person that helps, that knows. And all that to say that then when I went to Peru, it's just like, I've met 100 shamans, if not met more. It's a part of the culture. It's a part of their sense, their common sense, their different way of viewing life. I'm just saying this because it was just interesting to find out that shamanism is really not existent or really hidden in Europe and in the United States because of the witchcraft and the witch hunt. Like all magic was annihilated from the modern world. And here we are in the modern world thinking and feeling like, you know what? Oh, we're so much better off. We have technology. We have industrial revolution. We have our cars. We have our phones, our computers. It's like, we're the best. The only problem is that having excluded magic or having excluded the beauty of the shamanic work, which is the appreciation of life itself and the understanding of how we are as a buildup, as a species, how our feelings work, how emotions work, how the brain works, how we function with one another. With a lack of that, we see what society is today. It's like a quick thing, fast food, fast learn, fast results, fast everything. And it's just gone faster and faster and faster, where we're just basically burning the whole planet and we're all burnt out. It is more important than ever because I feel that we're also witnessing kind of like a collapse. It's kind of like of this. This is the best way to do things. This Western mentality of like, we're just like, make more money, make faster cars, make bigger houses, make. It's like, life is not about making, and life is not about money. Life is about feeling well. Success is not about how much money you make. Success is how well balanced you feel and how you feel with your family, with your work, with the day you had, the day you're having right now. Success is feeling grace, is feeling grateful, is being loved, having the opportunity to also offer love, have others that you offer love and that you help, and in a balance with everydayness. That's the importance for the shamanic work, that you are aware, conscious in every moment, that you're noticing yourself, you're noticing your emotions, and you're noticing others, and you're kind and willing. And when you put these things in place, life flows. Life flows. It's always been important. It's more important today because it is today. But it's always been very important. And it's either people that have awakened to it, either from a near-death experience or being all the way down to the bottom, to experience either what you want to call a miracle, experience a shift that allows you to rise above what's happening. Now there's such a contrast, I think, of how things are happening. They're almost like a movie. They're definitely like 1980, the movie, the book, or Orwell's rather film 1984. It's like logic has seemed to lost its logic. There's a little bit of what's truth, what's reality is a little bit beginning a little bit to be thinner. So it's really important to return back to the roots and understand this kind of this work and what it does. And the biggest part of it is to return back to the roots, to the earth. In other words, to understand is like that we live on this planet, and the well-being of this planet is the first and most important thing. And when you start by that, you wake up and you say, well, how can I take care of my garden? Or how can I take care of my pots? If I have plants, if I don't live out in the country and I have just some plants in the house, how can I take care of this? When you wake up and you say, how can I offer? You live a great life. You live a shamanic life. If you wake up and you say, well, what can I have? You're always just going to be striving to have. And nothing is enough. Nothing's ever enough. There's something always bigger, faster, better, newer, whatever. And all those are things that are really unreal, because material satisfaction is only good for so long. Any new car is going to be a used car or a dented car really soon. And then that source of that kind of happiness becomes a source of unhappiness. It's like, oh, my scratched new car, I don't believe it. And And I will say this, okay? So I'll pause there and give it to you because I give the mic to you because I know you had several questions. So I'll refrain.
No, you've touched on some really interesting points. And firstly, I do agree that there is a shift now where the lines of reality are being blurred. And I would actually level up the statement you made about 1984. I think that we live in a combination of 1984, Brave New World, and Animal Farm. Those three societies of dystopia have seemed to have merged together, because 1984 was all about complete top-down by brute force dystopian society, and then Brave New World was the softy approach with the SOMO, which I would say is like social media and all the other things like the Hollywood and the music videos, that soft propaganda that basically warps the minds and the hearts of man. And then you have some animals are more equal than others, where we have a class that basically they try to portray themselves as better than us, the elite. So that is why I say we have amalgamation of those three societies together. And then I do agree with you where if you think about what can I give, or how can I serve, how can I add value, what can I give instead of what can I have? There's a real fundamental shift there, because you will always want something else if you're just thinking about what can I have, or what is for me. Because what we fail to realize is that the more we serve others, the more we're actually serving ourselves. Because as you rightly said in the beginning, you looking at me doing hosting this podcast is really yourself hosting the podcast, because I am you and you are me, and together we're really one. We're just having individualized expressions of the experience of Todd and the experience of Ray, right? But we're really the same, which is why the energy that connects us is so real and palpable, So for someone that is feeling called to explore shamanic practices, how can they begin that journey with respect and depth, honoring the roots while making it relevant to their own life?
Well, we offer a 9-month training that begins every November. It goes the academic year from November through June. And we meet 1 weekend a month. And in this training, we offer 18 tools. The vast majority of the tools are from the Q'ero shamans of Peru. And there's other tools that are including also Ayurveda, and definitely the elements of Tai Chi and yoga. Now, all these Tai Chi and yoga and what we're talking about is open for beginners and people that haven't done anything. What I've seen is that we attract people that are in the healing business: doctors, therapists, healers, Reiki masters, yoga teachers, and people who want to heal, people who want to evolve, and also people who want to become healers and say, you know what, I don't want to wake up saying, what do I want? I want to wake up and say, how can I help? And through this training, we essentially train shamans. We offered 18 tools that you will walk out with, and everyone that walks out through the training, after the training, has the ability to offer amazing support to many people and offer healing sessions that make a real difference to people's lives. In many ways, save people's lives, improve people's life, better people's life. I think the essence is to make that first step, to say, you know what, I want a shift. I want to make that shift. I do want to help. And there is just so much out there that we can learn and share with others. So at the Jaguar Path, that is exactly what we do. We have the training, and besides the training, we hold monthly circles that we all meet together. Whoever wants, free, open for people to join, called the Shaman Circle. And we bring in teachers from different schools to just offer for free masterclasses on different topics that have everything to do with health and optimizing one's well-being. Anyway, I feel I forgot your original the question.
Basically, I was asking, how can someone explore shamanic practices? So basically, you're saying then that at your school, the Jaguar Path, you basically help people to begin the journey, because what I find is that, people would want to start, but they just don't know where to start. They feel like, I need to change, but where do I go? There's so many sorts of like things like, I could learn yoga, I could learn things about Ayurveda, or I could, learn about this, or I can go to a ayahuasca retreat, right? So they kind of get like information saturation. So basically you're saying then that if you're not sure how to start or where to start, the Jaguar Path School will most certainly help you to start and guide you along that journey.
Absolutely. What we actually do is we ignite people. The general consent is that it's a life changer. It's you go through this process of 9 months, and it takes 9 months because there's this whole cellular process that the body goes every 9 months.
Like a baby being born.
Gestation period. You're kind of like, a lot of the cells are reborn and changed. There's a lot that happens. And in order for change to actually take place, and that's why, again, our training is a 9-month training, I'll first say it doesn't simply help people begin their journey. It creates and offers an amazing, lasting transformation, because through the process, month by month, and with this in between, some practices and a little homework and things to do, we change our cellular being. And that's the only way to change. You have to change your hardwire. Because when you were saying earlier, it's like, when something happens and we're triggered, someone said about something about someone's ex-wife, and you remember the ex-wife and you're triggered. Well, now when you talk about my ex-wife or any person's ex-wife, it's like the idea is that there's absolutely no trigger there. There's like, may she be blessed. Whoever that person is, may she be blessed. Or I know where she is, sending you loves. Hi, hello. It's like, and there's a liberation to that is beyond. There's a liberation to and there's something that is almost hard to describe. But there's an awakening through these 9 months, and the shift that happens on your whole motor system and being, and the way you even feel in the space, who you are, and how you begin to walk in. Now you walk into a space, and you walk very differently. You walk and you behave. Your motor system is essentially shifted. And that's where the magic happens, because when you walk back into, say, you had to go and see the ex-wife, may all ex-wives be blessed in the world, because we bring that up as a subject. It's definitely not the worst thing. Ex-husband, whatever it is. But the idea is that horde was skewing me. I was less me. And it doesn't have to do with her, really. It has to do with my decision to, like, hey, I want to realign with who I am. So love and blessings. And this training, in other words, takes you through all these tools that are healing 18 different things, and really that brings us some shift that is a visceral shift of a physical evolution and revolution. The Tao Te Ching, I'll say this and I'll pause. The Tao Te Ching, part of the work that we bring in through our Tai Chi, it says, for lasting change, nothing equals the vessel. It took me 20 years to realize what that meant. I was like reading it. So if you want to change something in your psychology, how you feel, you have to change it somewhere in the body. Because how you actually feel and who you actually feel you are is a total sum of electricity and hormones that are in your body right now. So we don't know this. People that are not into shamanism, yoga, Tai Chi, it's all shamanic practices. Okay, it's I am who I am. And what we don't realize is that there's a specific sensation, a physical sensation we have. And you know it through working out. It's like when I start working out, I start breaking knots. I start changing things. I start changing first of all, the surface of what's happening and what's stored as an imprint in my myofascia. Then I can go, depending on the workout, deeper into the tendons, and then I go deeper into the meridian system, and now I'm tapping into the motor system of the body. And now, via all these together, at some point, and depending on the tools, if it's yoga or Tai Chi or the shamanic work, I'm beginning to tap into my endocrine system. And what is the endocrine system? It's basically, well, what's your personality? Your personality is to say the 7 chakras, consider them 7 main glands that produce, think of it this way, so many milligrams of their hormone per second or per minute. And if something changes, they'll up their production or they'll bring down their production. Am I making sense? Right?
Yes.
And is this like, well, say anger is beginning to bubble up in me. What does that even mean, right? We can all feel that. It's bubbling, it's coming up. No, I say maybe not bubbling up. It's beginning to erupt inside me. It's like, there's a moment that I can say, whoa, this anger is not me. This anger is a memory of something that I don't need to participate in right now. And if I can do that, which is the result of the training and training through tools and healing through tools, if I can do that, I begin to just then say, okay, well, I didn't need to be angry on Wednesday about my ex-husband or the boss or the person that said, step out of my way, or the person that did something to me that I'm saying hurt me or angered me or upset me. There's something really important to say here, Todd, that all the emotions we have are essential and real, and they're okay to have. They're okay to have. It's just like sometimes people hurt us. And if I say, okay, well, I feel hurt after that conversation, after that whatever interaction, or after those years, it's okay to say that. Like, there's chances are that you can have a few stories that will back that up and that they're true. So in that way, that emotion is true, it is real, and we should respect it. It's trying to find the word. It's natural to have these emotions: anger, resentment, anxiety. All these emotions are natural to have. But at the same time, is who I am right now, what do I want from life? Do I want to surrender my life to that emotion? As right as I was to be angry, as right as I was to be feeling hurt, as right as I want to be feeling, to feel that I was a victim. Even 100 friends will say, oh my God, you're a total victim. They did that, and they did that, and someone stole your money, and they hurt you, and then they called you names, and I don't even know, whatever, say whatever it is. Okay, that's true. That's true. All those things happen, and you have the right to feel all that. So why don't you do a ceremony and say, okay, these are the right emotions. These are the emotions I felt. And I give them to the fire ceremony, and I burn them in ceremony, and I say, thank you for all the teachings in the shift. And I integrate that hurt. I integrate that anger. I integrate it into my collection of energy to put towards something great. Actually, my collection of energy that I'm bringing back to remembering, it's like, wow, man, I'm alive. I was supposed to die in 2023 and 3 months, And those other 3 months and 3 months. It's like, I cannot forget, and I do not want to forget, in favor of remembering how angry someone made me, to just spend half an hour saying, well, so-and-so, and I'll call Todd, and I'm going to tell Todd all about it. And they did this, and then they said that, and there's data. And I'm running all these emotions through me, and now what's happening is I'm still now making those emotions, the chemistry. That's why I say you're right on to say that shamanism is biohacking, because I'm secreting this chemistry that's feeding my cells. And now who I truly am, what these cells have eaten and are made of right this very second, are this. I'm an angry man, and I'm right to be angry, and I'm going to tell the whole world. It's like, all the power to you. It's a choice. Or it's a choice to, and that's where you dropped something earlier. It's really an important element. Or is it about forgiveness? And it's, you know what? forgiveness is all about letting go of grudge. And forgiveness is all about assuming responsibility for your emotions, who you are and who you want to be. And when and where do you draw your own boundaries? Forgiveness is about assuming responsibility. It's not about, forgiveness is an imaginary thing. It's just like, because I have anger, great anger, they must be condemned by some great power of negativity. And I will not forgive them because I will not allow them. Forgiving is like, I'm going to be in the way of God's light because they wronged me. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, I will hold this in me as a negative energy and a negative source that is being towards that person. Cord cutting is about letting go of the trigger only because it's physically there. You cut that cord, but then it's immediately you feel when the trigger is gone, the chemistry leaves. So then you're ready now to say, well, you know what? I can do so many much better things in that next half hour than to sit and tell Todd. I can say and share so many things with Todd that are just so much more valuable than how angry I was.
Okay, very interesting. So let's get into a little bit to shamanism and science. And you mentioned the quantum connection. So, you speak about the influence of shamanism and quantum physics. So can you unpack that a little bit about what that connection looks like in practice?
Yeah, the connection is right there. And what I was saying in the sense that we don't realize that we're biochemical beings. Let's start with that. We're biochemical. We're electrical and chemical beings, right? We have electricity that runs in our body. We have 0.2 to 0.25 volts that run through our body. That's how the nervous system works. That's how they pump the muscles contract, the pump our heart beats, etc. And that's how we make thoughts. We spark. It's like, oh, I have an idea. It's like these sparks that are happening. And there's different levels of electricity depending on what organ of the body, etc. And then next to this electric factory, every cell of the body is a battery. Every cell of the body is a battery. That's why we call them battery cells. It's exactly identical with a positive and negative pole. And it creates that electricity. So we're fully electric. And what else does this electricity move besides the leverage of the physical body itself, the outside, the muscles and skeletons? It essentially moves and is moved by the chemicals of the body, which are the hormones. So when we're talking about biohacking and shamanism and the quantum level of it is, in the quantum level, what we don't see is that small electric impulses from something I smelled or something I heard or something I see remind me of a situation that I've lived through, that I perhaps was in danger or traumatized. It's a mechanism way back hidden in the nervous system and the motor system that I don't need to think about, because if it's about my life and my staying alive, it has to happen without thinking. It has to happen automatically. So we essentially talking about how we tap through the quantum physics, into the biochemical way of our being, is we begin to change these synapses. We remove these triggers. And after removing these triggers, what happens through practice with Tai Chi and yoga is you start smoothing out the functions of your internal organs. And that really, I don't want to say irons out, smooths out your emotional world and how your emotions are actually secreted in your veins.
That's levels. How your emotions are secreted in your veins. Wow, that's a very interesting thought there.
It becomes a very different life automatically. Because we think that we get angry because of our values or because of the way we grew up, or if something we feel was violated, we think we're right to feel angry. If something's been violated that you think that you have the right, you could just tell the person, reset the boundaries and say, change the situation. Or you could be angry with that person for 100 years. All the power to you. Didn't do anything to anyone. Didn't change anything. It's like, so we need to, yes, I'll stay to that. I can bring many examples, but that's where it's at, Todd. It's like, how do I change the secretion of the emotions in my body? And when I begin to change them, basically I'm moving from the I want, which is always going to create different kinds of emotions secreted through the whole vein and through the veins through the whole body, of push and pull, of disappointment, of waiting, of anticipation, of all these emotions that really take you out of reality and out of the present moment. And you let that I want and all that, and you come to how can I offer? When someone says, pass me the wrench, it's like, how can I help? It could be like, pass me the wrench. It's great. You immediately pass the wrench. You're immediately fully present in the moment. You're looking around, what is the wrench? What do I need to do? Where I need to give it? You become more present in the moment. You become present. And you offering help can be anything from passing a wrench to someone, or to actually giving a healing session to someone, or in any form that you offer help, from the slightest to the largest, is just a way of being that also adds to what kind of chemistry you create in your body. When I said, when you have a moment, when you're the deepest at the bottom, and you think that it can't go deeper in, if you can lift your eyes and look up with gratitude, you will be given a ladder that is an expressway up. Because gratitude is not an idea or even a virtue. It is both of those two, but even more so, it's a chemical state of being. It's an endocrinological state of being. I feel great. I feel grateful. I feel full. I feel great. I feel that grace is here. I feel that everything is okay. Now that is a chemical way of being. If you feel that, if you really feel that, what's running in your body, any thought that taps back into your body for any feedback is going to say, everything's good. Am I making sense here?
Yes,
change your
Absolutely.
chemistry. Yeah, you know what? It's what Carl Jung called this work uncommon sense.
Uncommon sense. Interesting.
Uncommon sense. Because common sense will say, yeah, you should sue that person and you should be in the courts for 20 years and hate him for 100 years. It's like, why? Why anything? Like what? How was that life?
True.
Where were you ever in the present moment and all that?
Probably not, to be honest.
Never for a second.
So, many people hear, this term energy healing, and a lot of people think it's like woo-woo. So how would you explain the energetic principles of shamanism through a scientific lens?
The essence is that shamanic work is experiential work. I had all kinds of ideas of what a shaman was and what shamanic was when I was a photographer. I had no idea what it was. I immediately thought I knew, like everyone always knows everything. I had collected some information for some books from that. We hear the word around, and the essence is that when you step into the shamanic work, you understand that it's experiential work, and you understand how it's scientific because of your immediate results, either in your blood tests, either in your MRIs, your CAT scans. It's work that taps into your whole being. And when you experience it, you have enough information to make a decision yourself, but through the experience itself. Because if you're talking about theoretical and you're saying, oh, shamanism is woo-woo, I'm going to say that out of the 100 shamans that I've met, 25 of them were woo-woo. 25 of them, another 25 of them were wannabes. Another 10 of them were tourist shamans. Another 5 of them had bad intentions. And 20 that I met were amazing, magical people that taught me love, that taught me sweetness, that taught me everything that I needed to know to be cancer-free today and to live a beautiful life that I'm grateful for every moment of. You could say, anything woo is woo. The medical system of America is woo. Yeah, you're going to find 25 doctors that are in it for the money, 25 of them that are not that good. You could say that about mechanics, car mechanics. You could apply it to everywhere, and it's true. I met a lot of shamans that are woo, But I met some serious people that were seriously loving, seriously affectionate, seriously real, seriously present, and said, hey, how can I help you? And I asked, and I received, and I experienced, and I've shifted, and I'm alive today. I never feel the call or the need to fend for shamanism. To each their own. For me, shamanism is what keeps me in life, and it's what I do for a living, and it's awesome. And what I truly think it is like a greater sense of what reality really is what shamanism is. Not only is it not woo-woo, but if you awaken to its actuality, it's an awakened way of being. And if I look back, I realize, like, everything else is woo-woo. Others like, oh, we're realistic. We're really being realistic. We're being grounded. It's like, no, you're not. You're being very contained in a very small reality that nothing of it is real, because it's time spent in the past and time spent in the future. Shamanism is to be present, to learn to be present. Then no one hurts you because you say, hey, excuse me, it's like, that doesn't work for me, but have a nice day. You were there. You weren't caught asleep. You're there. You're doing your chemistry work on the spot. And you're also healing that other person too.
Sounds a bit like alchemy, to be honest with you, if you want to put it in another word.
Absolutely is.
So you deal with, spirit animals and, that kind of stuff. So like, what role do spirit animals play in personal development? How can someone begin to identify or connect with their own spirit animal?
Amazing questions, awesome questions. So, I lead the Jaguar Path, so it won't be too hard to know what my power animal is. It's definitely the Jaguar. I don't know if you've ever felt when you were a kid, younger, or even now, maybe walking in the woods and having an opportunity to see a wild animal, a bear, a fox, a rabbit, sometimes even a squirrel or some birds. I don't know if you've noticed the sensation. And actually it's true, the wilder, like to see a bear is even more exciting. It gets like, it's almost thrilling, right? There's a sensation. I can see you're smiling. You're already lit just by the idea. So there's something that does to us. Our relationships to animals is really deeply ingrained in our nervous system because we share like 94% of their DNA and the way of being. We're mammals. Definitely the mammals. We have this really close relationship and we get excited and energy moves in our body. So it's liberated. Energy is liberated. We get a multiplication of energy in our body. And that's why we love having cats. Who doesn't love a cat to purr and they knead on them? Or a dog to play fetch with. It just alivens you. Or deeper work to go into understanding, what does a jaguar do? How does a jaguar live? It's like, because I have taken examples of other people that I've met and I was saying, oh, that photographer did that, and I'll do that. Well, shamanism and moving towards looking at the other animals is taking away from the illusion that this world is ruled by humans and realizing that animals are great teachers. I'll say only one example, and to say that, imagine this and how this can help you in your everyday life. Imagine that you have an interview for a job that you really, really want, and you're really hoping you're going to get it, and you're not sure you're going to get it. And you walk into that interview, and there's that person on the other side of the desk, and they have your CV, and they're reading about you, and you can walk in that room for that interview two different ways. You can walk there alone with your CV and your amazing capabilities, and you might be great at whatever you do, awesome, but you're alone. Or you can walk in, like I usually walk into places, with your jaguar next to you. The moment I walk into any office or I come into any podcast, I come in with my jaguar next to me. I think that's all I have to say. I walk with my jaguar. People say, well, what do you mean? Is this metaphoric? Are you making it up? Are you crazy and you think there's an actual jaguar? Yes.
All of the above.
All of the above. All of the above.
Okay, so are you saying then that spirit animals are literal guides, energetic archetypes, or both? And if so, how can we harness their wisdom in our daily life?
They're absolutely archetypes, and archetypes are to be studied. Archetype means it's a primal force, a primal example of what that energy is. Archetype. It's really important. So the archetype of a jaguar, the archetype of a wolf. It's important to study the archetype. In other words, how does the wolf live? How does the jaguar live? And when you really study it and you start looking at it and you start seeing it, maybe through documentaries, maybe through books about the symbolism that different shamanic teachings share with us. It's basically naturalism and really watching, observing. When you start awakening that observer by itself and you're observing how that animal works and what that archetype is, you're beginning to emanate that through your own motor system. And when you start arriving in that place, you start also realizing in that other unseen place that the jaguar spirit is everywhere. And when you tap into it, you can tap into it. If that's your power animal, you tap into it. And it's there for you. In your everyday life, that's where it counts. That's where it's great. It's not about the weekend workshop we did and we went out to the Berkshires or we rattled around a fire. It's just like, that's great when you do that. You like re-energize yourself. You learn, you go deeper into relationship with all that, with the workshops, the trainings. And at the end result is that you begin to walk with who you want. I walk with a hawk. Is that some kind of folk traditional thing that you'll hear from American Indians? Yes, it is, but it's more than that. It's folk and it's tradition for a specific reason. It's a way of being. So you can either walk around with your impressions from Facebook and Instagram, or you can walk around with your impressions from jaguar and wolf. And you can act in life from a point of reference of the media or what other people will say at work or this or that. Or you can walk like a jaguar and like a wolf in reverence. We surrender reference and we embrace reverence and we start walking in a different way. And what people think about me walking with my jaguar or not depends on how asleep they are, or how awake they are, or how they're able to see the jaguar in me, around me.
Well, I'll tell you what, jaguars are extremely interesting animals. Like, jaguars, from memory, are the third biggest cat. They are very versatile. They can swim. They hunt in stealth. They have an extremely hard and strong bite force. And they take on caimans. They take on all sorts of animals. And like, they can leap really far. So jaguars are sick animals, like, you know. And the strange thing about jaguars is that they actually don't hunt humans. And because I live in Mexico, and from what I've heard, they tend to more run away from you when they see you, and they would only attack you if they have young and they sense that the young is in danger, but they actually don't attack humans, which I find remarkable. So I tell you what, the jaguar is a pretty dope animal, if I do say so myself.
Jaguar is king.
Yeah.
And all power animals are. All animals, in the sense that every animal has a way that it lives, and we as human beings find ourselves in different situations in life. Either with work or at home or this or that, wherever we are, in relationships, in our everyday life. And if we know enough about animals and the ways of their behaviors, we can apply that behavior in our life. So instead of behaving like my old self or like everyone else, I start behaving a little more naturally. Usually it comes with sweetness. I would say 99.99% of animals rather not attack a human. There's an exception of the grizzly and the great white, but even in those situations, you see exceptions. So like there's times that Most animals, most of the time, express curiosity or fear. Many animals are willing to bring down the species barrier in order to exchange love and sweetness. Most animals, cats of all sizes, would rather come a little closer and purr. Dogs to wolves would rather wag their tail and play. Bears, and I used to see a lot of bears living upstate New York, they're more shy and bashful. And like you said, of course, if they have cubs or if they feel that they're cornered, an animal that's where another great awakening can come to any human being, is like, we are no match to most animals. We've just conquered the planet because of our sheer arrogance and stupidity. Because the idea is that if we could share this and step out of our own way and see that we're sharing this planet with many other species, we can realize that we are in paradise already.
Absolutely. So you've worked with veterans, therapists, high-performing professionals. How does your work speak to those traditionally non-spiritual fields?
I've had the experience that many times that businessmen and people that are not spiritual at all tend to really get this work. Once I start working with them and I start sharing the first tool, a cord cutting, a chakra illumination, even a soul retrieval, they really quickly, actually the sharper the business, more the businessmen are, the sharper they are, or women, they really quickly catch on to how this works. And they love it. They apply it immediately and see direct results.
That's pretty interesting, because I would have thought that because they're sort of like a businessman in terms of like has a certain mindset, because in order to be an entrepreneur, a high performing businessman, you know what I mean? That kind of person, you have a particular type of mindset where it's all about, I don't want to say conquest, but it's like driven by a goal.
By getting somewhere, arriving at that place.
Yes.
So when you start sharing mechanisms and the path, in other words, to move out, to arrive to a healed state or to a place where you have given a solution to the problem they've come with, they get it, because that businessmen and businesswomen are problem solvers. And if they're good, they see how that works and they take it. And to state the more important thing here and what we're talking about is that a shamanic session can be a fire ceremony, and we can light a candle and we can light some incense, but it's not all that. And most of the sessions I do now on Zoom, or I do in person. When I did the in person, I don't do all that ritualistic stuff, not necessarily. Like I said earlier, shamanism is a series of practical tools that really solve issues and change things. It's facts. It's working with facts and working with mechanisms that actually work, and they're alive today, thousands of years later, because they work. They delivered 2,000 years ago. They deliver today. We're still humans. I don't care if we have cell phones or we have cars. It doesn't matter.
Interesting.
Psychologically, we haven't evolved much at all. We still hate and want, and
True.
We still have all this, like, we haven't evolved in the last 2,000 years at all.
True. So let's shift gears ever so slightly. So we have, today a lot of feminized men, and we have this term that gets thrown about a lot, toxic masculinity. So how do you define conscious masculinity in this new age of spiritual awakening and holistic health?
Wow, Todd, that's a huge one. Great. And I'll say this. I want to say that where I am here now in Greece, it's after midnight. So why don't I'm going to ask you to take this as a last question to wrap our session up for today, because it's past midnight. And I'm going to say this to that. If you're a man, and I could say this as woman, but the question is about a man, and I'm going to say, if you're a man, know that your job is to serve. And know that when you're serving, you'll be at your best. If you're a man and you think that all you want is to take and to get satisfaction and to make more, you're not serving yourself or others. There is toxic masculinity as there is toxic feminine energy. There's toxic human emotions. The idea is for all of us to step up to the plate and really look into ourself, our emotions, solve things that are holding us back, and definitely release things that create fire within us, fire of anger, fire of want, of need, of lack. Being conscious is, the more I do this work, the more I understand, the more conscious I am of this word consciousness. It's like, how aware are you? And the only way to be aware is when you're helping. So if you're a man and you have a satisfied wife, if you're a man and you have satisfied children, if you're a man and you have a satisfied job, if you're a man and anyone you come a relationship to and in interaction with are satisfied, then you're at a good place. Then you're a conscious man. There's no greater thing than to be able to help. By definition, it's abundance. If I'm able to help, that means there's nothing ailing me. Being a conscious man is a great thing. And the biggest gift that one can feel as a man is to provide and to help and to be there. No, and it's not for those who may jump on that as a social structure of the old structure of men provides and women serve. Not at all. Provide reality and be real and be present for everyone around you.
Very well said. Because I asked that question because obviously, I think that one of the main issues we have in society today is the lack of guidance that men have, because men, we're the ones that kind of like shape society. And I think that we need to take a lot of responsibility. And we don't really have a lot of like examples or people that we can follow today that can guide us, and you doing this work so for a while, I think that there are a lot of men out there that can take a lot of value from what you're saying. And so with that being said, can you tell the lovely folks where they can find you, any projects that you have upcoming, anything that you would like to plug, and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Todd. I will. So you can find us at the jaguarpath.com, jaguarpath.com, one word, jaguarpath.com. And in there, you'll find all our trainings. You'll find free workshops, free masterclasses. You will also see that we run retreats and the ancient sites of healing in Greece with Hippocrates and Asclepius, and just a lot of guest teachers that are healers or teachers of philosophy or of some form of spirituality or practices for healing, for making the body a better place to be in. Jaguarpath.com is the short answer. Todd, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming here. And guys, as you know, Ray was just talking about the body. You know that I'm an online fitness coach. So if you would like to get into the best shape of your life, you can hit me up on my Instagram at Adriano_246 or my name Todd Cave. Send me a DM and just tell me that you would like to get into shape because summer's soon coming up and we want to be beach ready, pool ready, party ready, all that kind of stuff. And so also if you are on a spiritual journey or you would like to start a spiritual journey and you would like some help removing some fears and traumas, I can help you to connect with some magic mushrooms. So hit me up again on my socials at Adriano_246 or my name Todd Cave on Facebook. And if you would like to support this podcast, you can visit our Amazon store with called Todd and Me. And today I have on one of the Conscious Man 7 shirts, as you can see. So if you would like to support this podcast, please visit the Amazon store and you can get some tank tops, hoodies, and sweats. Link will be in the description of this podcast. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share, because that helps us to be recommended in the algorithms. And once again, Ray, it's been absolutely awesome talking to you today. I think that, we've given the lovely people some good value here. And, there are not many places that, men can actually go and start this work and to heal. So I think you're doing really good work. And, shamanism is something that is becoming very much talked about, because things like ceremonies and ayahuasca and medicine are becoming very, very more in the mainstream that people are getting to be aware of. So, you're doing great work. So I commend you for that. So, yes, thanks again for coming on to the Conscious Man 7. I'm really happy to talk to you. And, we could have talked a lot more, but next time.
Thank you so much, Todd. Thank you.
Yes. So, people, this is another one. I thank you for listening. And we have some more great, amazing guests coming soon. So stay tuned. Cheers and namaste.